Friends, today let's talk about what parents can do to elevate motor sensory coordination in their children. Let me begin with a story. This is exactly not a story, this is a scene of a movie that I'm going to describe to you now. This was a scene of a busy road in one of the cities in India. By the side of the road, a visually impaired man, a blind man, was standing with a stick in his hand. He was trying to cross the road. He was a bit hesitant because there were speeding vehicles plying on the road. About 20 feet away, there was a tea stall where 3 young men were having tea. At the same time, they were also curiously looking at this visually impaired man, waiting to see how is this man going to cross the road. They were having fun, cracking jokes about this visually impaired man. One of these youngsters said, "Oh, this guy will probably wait till the evening to cross the road." Another said, No, he can't cross the road today." They were having fun. A few minutes later, a group of small boys walked by. Those boys were in school uniform. Most likely they were going to their school. One of the boys, seeing the visually impaired man struggling to cross the road, ran towards him. This boy must be 7 or 8 years old. The boy came near the visually impaired man, told him, "Sir, don't worry, I will take you across the road." Saying this, he held the man by his hand and navigated him through the traffic on the road and left him at the other side of the road. There were 3 young men, probably in their 20s, looking at a visually impaired man struggling to cross the road and not doing anything about it, rather having fun, cracking jokes about that helpless man who was physically challenged. And there was a young boy, barely about 7 or 8 years old, quickly saw the situation of this man, came running towards him and jumped into action to help him. See the stark difference between these 2 kinds of people. All of them had their sense organs, but the young men in their 20s, in spite of having sense organs, could not make sense of the situation unfolding before them. They could not figure out the need of the man by the roadside trying to cross the road. And because of that, they did not get into action. What's the use of having sense organs? What's the use of being physically fit if our sense organs cannot sense, perceive the impulses coming from our environment? And if our physical organs, if our body cannot respond appropriately? The young boy demonstrated elevated motor sensory coordination, while the young men in their 20s absolutely lacked coordination between the motor and sensory nerves. But what parents can do to elevate motor sensory coordination of their children? Merely having sense organs will not guarantee the ability to make sense of the environment or perceive the impulses received from the environment. If one has to scan the environment, one must have empathy, inquisitiveness, interest, appreciation, acknowledgement. These traits are important. Parents must encourage the children to develop these habits. And how can they help their children develop these abilities? Parents must take their children to the nature, help them appreciate nature, acknowledge what is happening around them, understand the nuances of their environment far and near from them. They must expose them to different situations where they have to use their inquisitiveness, appreciation of the problem, acknowledgement of the situation or the need, and so on. Merely perceiving the environment, acknowledging and appreciating with empathy and interest is not enough. The kids also must learn how to respond, how to act. So parents must teach their children responsibility, accountability, ownership. If children lack accountability, responsibility, ownership, they would never take action. Let me share with you another story where a mother is teaching sense of responsibility to her child. This story is about a mother who was cooking in the kitchen. She called her 6-year-old little daughter, asked her to bring the bottle of milk which was inside the refrigerator. The little girl ran towards the refrigerator, opened the refrigerator door, picked up the milk bottle, but by mistake she dropped the bottle. The bottle made of glass broke down. There was milk all over the floor. The child was crying. Mother could hear the sound of something breaking. She came running out of the kitchen, saw her daughter crying, and there was milk all over the floor. She immediately scanned the situation, looked at her daughter's hands and legs to check if there is any injury in her body, and she figured out there was none. The child was scared. She has done something wrong, probably made a big mistake, made a mess of something. The mother looked at her daughter, consoled her, and said, "Baby, don't worry. This happens. This could have happened to me as well. But baby, since you have dropped the milk bottle and there is milk all over the floor, it is your responsibility to clean it." The little girl nodded her head. The mother said, "But baby, you have never cleaned a mess before. This time, I will help you. Both of us together will clean this floor." The mother and child got into action immediately and started cleaning the floor. Within no time, the floor was clean and shining as before. The daughter was looking happy with a sense of gratification. What a powerful story this is. The story of a parent teaching her child the sense of responsibility. Sri Sri Thakur Kulchandra says that the parents must imbibe habits, behaviors and urge in the child before he or she turns 5. It's so important to inculcate some of these habits at a very, very young age in the child. Thereafter it becomes very difficult to do so. A devotee asked Sri Sri Thakur, what are the responsibilities of the parents in educating their children? Sri Sri Thakur Kulchandra replied, parents should not put pressure on their children to excel in academics. Rather, they should ignite interest in the child towards life and environment. The foundation stone for becoming a full-fledged human being is laid by parents through adjustments of habits and behaviors in their child by engaging the child in practical actions like swimming, cycling, climbing, painting, singing, acting, gardening, observing nature, helping others. Through such actions, the child gains new experiences and realizations. For example, the child becomes more observant, helpful, empathetic, inquisitive, immersive in thoughts, articulate, and so on. In the next episode, we shall talk about what schools can do differently to elevate motor sensory coordination in their children. Till then, thank you very much.